Today is my anniversary, my work anniversary. Hey. Reese Financial. So LinkedIn told me that today was my work anniversary. So kudos to LinkedIn. It's wild how you can just be in the throw of it all, and you look up and you're like, oh, I have a message and it's my work anniversary. I didn't even know. So thank you to everyone who's been sending me messages and wishing me much success. I thought I would take some time to recall my journey. And it's been so important because right now I am in a pivot. I'm shifting, I'm elevating. There's that saying of, like, you start over, you feel like you're starting over. As an entrepreneur, I've understood that starting over is a great thing. And some people may say it's a marker, for what's happening or what's to come. And for me, I feel as though my journey has been in divine order. I truly believe that everything in divine order. I have a product line, everything in divine order. Wait for that. Um, so everything has been in divine order. And even though February 2014 was when I established my business here in California, I've been an entrepreneur since February of 2009. That's when I first got laid off. I was laid off. I got laid off from Merrill Lynch in 2009. I was a financial advisor. I was managing about a little under 4 million, around 4 million, with my senior partner. And he taught me a lot about the business. He taught me a lot about what I didn't know. And he was so influential, a Black man, Mr. LaRue Gibson. And he poured a lot into me, and he gave me my first opportunity as a professional in financial services. And that happened by design. I had an awesome boss who was in New Jersey. I started in marketing in Merrill Lynch and in private wealth management marketing. And so I helped the financial advisors market their practice. Hey, which is why I do that now. Everything in divine order. I just had that connection, everything in divine order. So, like, that's where I started. I started in marketing, and I started networking because I was like, I need to know people. So I would go to the city. I would go from Hopewell, New Jersey to the city, like maybe once a week. My manager would let me do that. John Ellenberg, shout out to John. Wow, Rich Anniser, that whole team. I mean, these people really were there in my beginnings. And so he would let me go to New York and like network and stuff. And so I did that. And I don't even remember how I met LaRue, but I wind up networking my way into his office, and we talked about my vision and my goals. And he's like, I want you to join my team. I'm like, what? So at some point in fall of, what was that, 2007, I graduated from Princeton in 2006. I was in marketing for about a year or some months, and I networked my way to this new opportunity to be on the client facing side of the business, which I loved. I loved helping people. I loved educating people. So that's what I thought, I was going to be doing. Little did I know it was a whole nother understanding, and everything in divine order. So I did that, and I wound up joining his team as a junior partner, and more specifically, I was the financial planning specialist. I was responsible for my own practice, of course, and Mr. Tony Barrett brought me into the PDP program. So that was my training. That was my training. Tony believed in me, and he gave the go for me to join LaRue's team, and that's when everything began. This journey truly began. Well, I mean, it began back in marketing, but you know what I'm saying. So it was exciting. It was exciting to see people. And let me back it up, because I had mentors. I also had mentors who were financial advisors at Merrill Lynch. And that was through the South Central Scholars Program. So as a high school student, I was a part of a scholarship program. That's why scholarship programs are important, because they produce people like me, and I'm the bomb. So Yeah, scholarships are important, but that program had a mentorship, scholarship, and internship program. So I got my first internship through my mentor, who was a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch here in Century City, California. That's where really all began. That exposed me to the world of finance. That's where I first learned that there were millionaires who weren't famous, like who weren't entertainers or athletes. That's where I first learned that. And you may be like, well, duh, of course. However, you cannot underestimate the power of basics. And I'm not going to say it was where I came from, because I came from a rich hood, you know what I'm saying? Right here in South Central LA, full of richness. However, what I saw was that millionaires and rich and wealthy people were on TV, and some kind of connection there. So I really didn't have the understanding that you could be an ordinary person making a lot of money and having it, and nobody would know who you are. I didn't understand that. So when I got into this internship, that's when I understood what private wealth management meant. And it's a whole business built around managing wealth for private people who you don't know. I'm like, I want to be one of those people, and I want to manage their money. And that's when my introduction to personal finance began, through my mentors, who were also Merrill Lynch financial advisors. So Merrill Lynch played an integral role in my professional development. My mentors were there, and then I actually got internships there, and then I got my full-time job there, and then I networked my way into private wealth management. So, and once I got into business, I now was working in New York City. I was working in New York City, and I was living in Jersey. So, and no, living in Philadelphia. So I was doing a reverse commute for a little bit. I was doing a reverse commute, and that was interesting because I was literally going against the grain. That's what I always remembered about that particular part of my life. I was going against the grain, even in my commute. Again, everything in divine order. And it was hard and difficult because you get up early and you go on the train and connected to the subway. And eventually I moved to New York and was there. And I just learned a ton. I learned so much about the business. I learned so much about sales. That's when I got my first sales experience, and what it took to sell, and fighting it and not listening to my partner. And then I started having success. And then I cold called $100,000 CD. First of all, who cold calls? Second of all, for a CD, right? Pivotal moment in my career. And then, the economy was going to hell in a handbasket. I was sick for about a week. I get gastroenteritis, and I had like the stomach flu. I always got it for some reason once a year. And that time was the time. So I was out of the office, down for the count. I came back, and Tony pulled me in, had that conversation with me, and it was time to go. I got laid off. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I need a break. So my girlfriends and I have been planning a trip. And shout out to Artily Wright. Shout out to Valerie. Shout out to Marilyn. Yeah, my Princeton sisters. And we went to Paris. And I think Marilyn was already there because she might have been living there by that time. But I went to Paris for 10 days and just enjoyed it. I had a great time. I didn't know what my life was going to be like once I got back, but I needed a break. I needed to understand what was about to happen. And that was a pivotal moment too, because sometimes we think we get laid off and, money is a concern. But sometimes you have to self-care, you got to do things for self. And that was a self moment. And I came back and I got really clear. And I was like, I want to start my own business. I want to start my own financial firm where I can work with the people that I want to work with, and I can educate the people that I want to educate. And I could give them all of these secrets, because I learned mad secrets, right? I learned so much about money and wealth building. I was like 22 years old. I was making like $80,000, $90,000. And I'm like, nobody taught me this. Nobody taught me this. Nobody even taught me that I would get laid off. They told me, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get an apartment, get a job. I did all of that. No one told me about getting laid off. So when I speak today, when you book me as a speaker, I speak about getting laid off. I speak about the uncertainties in life, because no one teaches you about that part. And you can only be so prepared for it, but you can plan, right? Can't prepare for everything, but you can plan. So I'm back in New York, and I'm in my apartment in Harlem, right there on 135th and Lenox. Woo! And so I'm like, man, I'm about to start this business. So I start researching how to start a business in New York. And I did it. I started my business. It was called Community. And this is the same logo. Shout out to Lanoya Corley Rebell. That's my best friend from high school. And she became my creative director. This is her creation. And I'm not a creative per se, but I told her, I said, Noya, I want people to feel a certain way when they come to my website. Like, I don't know what that means for you as the designer, but I know how I want people to feel. I can't tell you what to put there. I don't know. That's your area. But here's what I want people to feel when they come to the site. And I described that to her. And this was the logo. This is what we came up with for an iteration of Community LLC. And my whole thing was, I'm going to teach people about money. Nobody taught me about money. So who's out here teaching people about money? And when I would host seminars, that was how I prospected. That was a big part of my business, hosting seminars, because I'm an educator. I like to teach people. So I will host all kinds of things: how to protect your portfolio in a down market, how to diversify, asset allocation. I know all of that, right? So I'm teaching people, but I noticed the people who were showing up, for my seminars were not millionaires, were not even thousandaires. They were everyday hardworking people who wanted the information, but they weren't ready to be my client because they didn't have $250,000 in investable assets ready to go. They didn't have that. But you know what they did have? They had a lot of debt. They had low income or moderate income. They had credit issues. They had no investments, no savings. That was my market. Those were my people. That's who I wanted to reach. But I couldn't do that through the systems of Merrill, because Merrill was built for a certain client, right? Which is why I teach other financial professionals, specifically coaches, counselors, and educators, how to find our people. Everybody is not for us. Everybody wasn't a Merrill Lynch client. That's why I couldn't work with everybody. I couldn't even work with my own mama. I couldn't work with nobody in my house, because nobody in my house had any money like that. So these lessons are why I'm as good as I am at what I do. And I recognize that everything in divine order, every job I've ever had has prepared me for this moment. Every experience in my business prepared me for this moment. And so that's how I got started. And so what did I do? I did research. I got the business up on paper, and now I'm like, all right, I need to start teaching. So I do research. I don't remember what I used to find out about what was going on, but at this point, I had some contacts, right? Because I had been building my practice at Merrill. So I had some contacts, but I start pounding the pavement. And when I mean pounding the pavement, I will never forget. One day at work at Merrill, I'm like, all right, I need to go prospect. So let me go see who's in the neighborhood. And I pounded the pavement in the local area around my office, talking to business owners, walking in. Hi, I'm Dominique Reese. I do this. I wanted to see if the owner was in, talk to him about this. I'm selling myself. I'm putting myself out there. I'm pounding the pavement. I'm learning what the needs were of the people in the community where I worked. That's a gem for you. We always want to go global, but go local. Go local first. Going local will let people know you exist in your area. So that's what I did. And I learned how to pound the pavement. So now that I'm in my own practice or business, Community LLC, that's what I did. I started to pound the pavement, going to nonprofits, asking them, do you teach about financial education? No, we don't. Okay, well, can I? And I did it for free at first. Another lesson, but I'll tell you more about that another time. Because we don't have to do everything for free, even though we're just getting started. That's what I've learned as a entrepreneur. We don't need to start free all the time. That there may be strategic opportunities. Notice I said strategic opportunities, not just a free gig. If it was a free gig, I found out a way to get paid. So I would pound a payment and I would network, and nonprofits were my thing because I knew they had the people that I wanted to reach. They had the youth, the kids. I loved teaching kids at that point. And so I just started all over New York. I mean, from every borough that you could think of. I worked in every borough at some point in my time there, and I lived in 2 different boroughs. So that was my backyard. That was my playground. That was my professional landscape. I started pounding the pavement and talking to people about this. Once I got up there to teach, guess what? Naturally, do you work with people? Can you work with me one-on-one? At the time, I wasn't. And the first person who asked me, I said yes. And I didn't know what I was going to sell her. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew what she needed. She needed help with a budget and savings and debt. So that's what I sold her. A budget strategy, a debt strategy, and a saving strategy. And I charged $300 for that. I'll never forget. $300 to get those 3 things for me. But I did all the work. So they would give me their documents, and then I would create a budget based on what the numbers were telling me. I would set up a debt reduction strategy based on what the numbers were telling me. And then I would create a savings strategy based on what the numbers were telling me. And this is how I now define my practice, because I believe the numbers tell a story and they never lie. I don't need to talk to you. I could look at your numbers and see what's going on. So if I could look at your numbers and see how you're living, then I can use the numbers to project a plan for you. And then your behavior will follow. So I help my clients on a one-on-one with their behavior. I don't help you with your numbers. I use the numbers to get at your behavior. And if I can impact your behavior, I can impact your numbers. That's my secret sauce. So that's what I did. And I just started doing that for everybody I knew who would work with me. I went to the public libraries and started teaching there. I would host, because they had kids there. They had kids already there. So I was like, well, you already had a kids here. Let me come in and do some work with them around money. Great. And guess what? I hired a photographer, had my little photographer, Tiffany Bloomfield, I believe. Shout out to Tiffany if you see this, sis. She would meet me at my gigs and take pictures of me at my gigs. So now I had evidence. Today we be like, get on social media. If you're selling anything, have social proof. Well, my pictures were my social proof that I was at this library, I was at that nonprofit, I was at that conference, I was at this college teaching. And that's my proof in the pudding. I was out doing the work. So another gem for you, make sure you have proof of your work. And you don't have to use social media. That's just the platform of today, right? That's the times we're in. You can still go old school. You can still, and here's the deal. We're in a back to basics economy. Do not underestimate the power of basics. So if all you can afford is a photographer, get you that photographer and get you a gig or Zoom and take pictures, take a screenshot of your Zoom with however many people you got on there. Listen, don't humble beginnings. Thank you, Father. Okay. Ooh, he ministered to me. Okay. So I'm pounding the pavement, I'm teaching, I'm speaking, everything in divine order. I'm just showing up. I'm showing up in what I knew I could do. I'm honing my skills. I'm honing my sales. I'm honing how I present myself. All of that was happening in those early stages of me running Community LLC. And then I just got to a point, okay, so then that wasn't like making me no money though, right? So when I got laid off, I had savings and all of that. So I wasn't making enough money to completely sustain myself. So I'm like, I need to get a part-time job. Cool, part-time. I'm part-time me, I'm part-time them. And the job I got was, again, another strategic opportunity. Our jobs should refine our gift. So you should be getting paid to refine your gift. And if your job isn't doing that, then you in the wrong job. I'll stop there. Okay, so I started working for Creative Connections. Shout out to the Creative Connections team, where I met a whole bunch of cool people. Oh, everything in divine order. And so that was basically like a program that provided after school programs to schools. So I joined their team. And this was another entrepreneurial job for me because I controlled my schedule for the most part. I mean, after school starts at 2:30, 3 o'clock. So I would start work around 2:30, 3 o'clock, be done around 4, right? Because the kids are after school. And I taught the entrepreneurship piece. So I'm teaching kids about how to be an entrepreneur. I called it the Money Making Club. And so I had a school in Brooklyn, Ditmas, which was in Brooklyn. I had a school in Queens. I think it was Queens 52. And I would teach them. And I might have had another school. I can't remember. But those were my two schools. And I absolutely loved it. I have pictures from that too. So I love teaching about money, from the kids to the elders. And that's what I did. So this job complemented my gift of teaching about money and educating about money. So I did that. And that's how I paid the bills, complemented with anything I made through my business. And sometimes you got to do that, right? You have to figure out what's going to work for you. And it doesn't mean you have to sacrifice. It simply means you make a decision to do this and that. So I'm able to control my time and my schedule. And in the daytime, I worked on my business. And then from 2 to 4, I made money to pay the bills and pay rent. And just met with a lot of cool people. I networked a lot. I helped people start organizations. Miss Jackie Glass, CEO of the wellness, I can't remember, but Jackie Glass's organization. And I never forget, I was like, oh God, how am I gonna pay this rent? I got rent coming up, and my rent was $600. I had a little 2x2 room in Brooklyn. I shared an apartment, and basically my room was just big enough for a chair bed. I didn't even have a twin size bed. I had a chair bed, and I would unfold the bed at night and sleep. And then in the daytime, I would roll it back up into a chair, and that was my office. So listen, don't tell me what you can't do with what you have. So I work in the daytime, and I was helping Miss Jackie Glass with some things for her organization. And she wound up sending me a check for $500. And it was just, that's when I understood the power of God in my life. Whether you're a believer, whether you believe what you believe, I believe in God. And that taught me that, Dominique, everything that's coming to you and everything that's for you is not always because of you, right? I wasn't charging Miss Jackie for the work that I was doing with her. She found it upon her heart to bless me in that way. And it was enough to cover my rent. I had some money already, so it was enough to cover my rent. So that was a spiritual thing, and that's when I got more in tune with understanding how my purpose and God and serving in my purpose started to connect for me. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that was coming. So that taught me you don't have to work for everything you do. Just be in your purpose. Be in your purpose, exercising your gifts. And when you do that, you make room for yourself. Our gifts make room for us. What was it? I did my devotion this morning, and I was like, oh, this is so powerful, Father. Let me find it, because this is for somebody and I want them to get it. Proverbs 18, 16, I think. Proverbs 18:16. Yes. A man's gift, a man's gift makes room for him. My gift was making room for me. And my gift is in educating about money and making complex ideas more sensible and understandable. I can synthesize data. I could tell stories with them. So my gift is around activation, right? I can take something and I can help people get it going. And so I'll talk to more about that. So I'm excited. And so that was a powerful moment for me. Fast forward a little bit, networking, meet more people. As an entrepreneur, you control your time. So I'm able to be out in the daytime while all my friends were working. They making mad money though. They making mad money. And the man I was dating at the time was very helpful. Saleh was so important because he supported me. Even though I didn't know what I was doing, I'm trying to run a business. I ain't never run a business before. I ain't come from a family of businesses, or so I thought. My dad was an entrepreneur, but my dad died when I was 2. So I didn't know too much about him. But he ran a daycare. He had his hands some other things, but he was an entrepreneur. So that's where I got it from. But I didn't notice that. I didn't realize that until later in my life. So here I was, I had a great group of friends and they were supportive, and I was dabbling in this and dabbling in that. I was a WFG agent. I believed in multi-level marketing. I understood it. I understood what it was doing for people. So I joined this and joined that. And then I made a new network of those people. And then I wind up joining, the networking groups like, what was it? BIN or BNI, and you can only have one representative from an industry in the group. I was a part of all of those. And I wind up meeting someone. His name is slipping my mind right now. And we were in a mastermind group together. And I was in that group with a few people, like a few Columbia contacts. I mean, I always was around great people. That's another thing for our gifts. We have to associate ourselves with the right people. Whole another one. So he found out what I did through our mastermind group. And one day on the train, I will never forget, I think it was the number 4, we were heading back to wherever we were going. We're leaving the mastermind group. He was like, you need to meet so-and-so over at ACQC. That's my guy. I do business with him, and we could pitch what you do. I was like, cool, let's do it. He was like, so when you're ready? I was like, I'm ready tomorrow. That week he went with me. He set up the meeting for the executive director of the ACQC, which was the AIDS Center, Queens County. And so I walked in and I pitched him on what I do, how I do it, and how I can help them. I was like, listen, I can help your clients with their money. They're receiving money, they have fixed income, they have to pay for medicine. Let me help them with their money, so that's going to improve their quality of life. Perfect. This was my first 5-figure contract. Oh, thank you, Father. I remember that. My first 5-figure contract. I did that, right? Like, oh my gosh. So here I am now getting paid through my business. And it felt so good. I was generating my own income. It was hard. I told you all the stuff I did before I was getting paid. But what isn't hard, right? Like, hard is not a differentiating factor. Everything can be hard. So that's not it. It's what you gonna do about it. So that felt really good. But it happened again, not of myself. I didn't know this man. I didn't even know about ACQC. My contact did. And I met my contact through a mastermind group. Okay. Associate yourself with the right people. Switch up your environment. Put yourself in uncomfortable positions so you can grow. Your opportunities are there. And again, I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask him to introduce me. He thought highly enough of me to be like, I need you to meet so-and-so. So I did. And I met him. And when I met him, we sealed the deal. So now, and I got pictures of this too. I have pictures with, oh man, it's so awesome. And so I start counseling people with AIDS. And that was a whole nother one. And it put me in a community where I was able to see like, wow, man, look at what's happening here. These my people, they look like me. This could be my aunt, this could be my uncle, this could be my mom. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you care about the people you serve, right? So that adds to our work, especially as financial coaches. I was a coach and a counselor, and I didn't even know it. I didn't have an AFC, I didn't have an FFC, but I knew the work I was doing. So I did that work. Was all good. And then something happened with the organization to where their budget changed. They had staff changes. And so that was impacting me. So I didn't have that contract anymore. But I made the money I needed to sustain myself. And so at that point, oh, what else happened after that? I just got more gigs. I started getting gigs with budgets. So I started asking, do you have a budget? And if not, okay, well, how can I ask people to sign up for it? Like I would ask for the offer and ask for the order. That's what I learned at Merrill. Ask for the order. Stop beating around the bush. What do you want? What do you want? Do you want money? Do you want to get on somebody's calendar? Do you want to seal a deal with a specific company? Do you want this person to be your client? Ask for the order. Just ask. They can say yes or no. And you have a 50% chance of both, right? So what we got to lose? And you need certain no's to get to a yes. That's what cold calling taught me. 200 dials just to get two people to say yes. 200 dials for two yeses. I needed those no's so I could get to my yes. And guess what? Every time I got better on the phone, I got better at speaking, I got better at my asking, I got better at presenting myself. So everything in divine order. This work is not for nothing. There's a training in what we do to make us great. So stop trying to avoid your training. Do what you need to do. Get those lessons because they will deposit into you what you need to be great. Okay, so I am doing this work. I'm networking. I'm flying back to LA. One, to get my hair done. Shout out to Dr. Carey, owner of Mahogany Revolution, my loctician, celebrity stylist, educator, consultant in the natural hair space in the industry of hair. I would fly home for sis to do my hair, and because I was like, I didn't know too many people, but I also went to gosh, I cannot remember the name of the salon in Brooklyn that did natural hair, and that sis was killing the game. And her name is on the tip of my tongue, and it's gonna come to me. But I went there for my hair too, and there were times when, like, when I wanted my hair cut or dyed or whatever, I came back home to my best friend, Dr. Carey. And so that's also important. Support your people. Like you got friends out here running their businesses and you ain't even a client. Don't be trying to send them people when you ain't a client. Like we got to stop that. We got to support each other truly. And I don't want people in my business. Okay, well, that's fine. But that's why you don't have nothing. That's why your stuff is screwed up. Get people in your business so you could get the help that you need. Whole nother one. Okay, so and coming back and forth, I would network again with financial advisors, and this was through the scholarship organization that I was a part of in high school. So now I'm an alumni. I would come back, and I wrote a grant for the scholarship organization that allowed me. Shout out to Meredith Curry, believes in me, has always believed in me. Dr. London and Trish London, South Central Scholars founders, they believed in me. So there was a grant opportunity for that. I wrote a grant and it allowed me to fly back and forth from LA once a month to New York. And I would teach middle school students about college. Because again, did nobody teach me about college? Like, what is it? Where do you go? What do you do there? How basic, right? You cannot underestimate the basics. And in this program, I hired my mom. My mom volunteered with me. Um, my people from my neighborhood, my neighbor, Mr. Rodney McKnight, Rock would come and help at USC. I was at USC teaching middle school students in LA County about college. Powerful. And so I did things in my gift that made room for me. Networking, financial advisors, old white men giving me the game, like my energy, introduce me to this person, that person. That's all important. So fast forward, I'm back in New York. I'm like, all right, it just seems like things were drying up. It seems like I'm not making money. It seems like I made as much money as I possibly could. I didn't know what I was going to do. And a lot of my friends were going back to B school. So I'm like, well, maybe I need to go to B school. But then I'm like, well, I already had a business and none of them have businesses. They had networks, but none of them have businesses. So I'm like, well, that don't seem right. Why would I go pay for somebody to tell me something I already know. I mean, of course, I didn't take all those courses and stuff, but I had a business. So why go to B school? That didn't make sense to me. So I'm like, I need to do the reverse of that. I need to get paid to learn. I want to learn how to train, hire, and develop. I want to learn more about my industry, everything in divine order. I get a call from one of my financial advisor mentors, Richard Hearn, Richard C. Hearn, at Star Care Advisors. And he's like, you need to meet this lady. She's a powerful woman. She's the president of LPL. LPL, I know who LPL is. I'm like, okay, so he sets up the call with Miss Esther Stearns. So now I meet Miss Esther Stearns, and she tells me that she's researched me, she sees the work I'm doing, and she don't see nobody doing this work. Nobody. And she's worked with thousands of advisors across the country. I'm like, thank you, Father, showing up in my purpose. And you never know who researching you. Here we are on LinkedIn and YouTube, and we have ways to be found. You never know who's watching. So she's like, listen, I want you to be a part of what we got going. I'm about to launch this startup in the Bay. I don't know how we're going to work together, but I want us to work together. Great. So she tells me I'm going to receive a call from her right-hand lady, Miss Jody Gold, who became my supervisor at Nestwise. So they launched this financial startup in the Bay that moved me back to California. I was in the East Coast for 11 years, and this opportunity came to me again through my network. Somebody said, you need to talk to this person. Wow, that's a common theme. I'm just having that understanding. Those opportunities that came to me were opportunities when someone said, you need to talk to this person. So mind that in your life. If you've got people telling you, go here, go there, directing you, be obedient. Be obedient. Obedience is my word for 2021. I don't need to know the details. I don't need to want to do it. If it's on my heart and I feel led that this is what God is telling me, I'm just going to do it. I don't need no details. Be obedient. Just show up. All right. So that's what I did. And I became their first employee. So I went back to being an employee, a W-2. I'm getting paid to learn, and I'm at a startup. So remember, before I left New York, I said I wanted to learn how to train, hire, and develop. So I started with them from the ground up, helping build this startup. And our whole thing was we were going to provide financial plans and a financial advisor to middle market America, who was being overlooked in the industry, who's servicing the everyday middle class family who don't have a lot of money. Nobody, because they didn't know how to make money from them. The AUM model was the model. So if you don't have assets, we ain't working with you. But who was helping the people to build the assets? And that's kind of where Nestwise fit in the marketplace. So great model, great idea. And I loved being a part of that firm because I had my hand in everything. I wrote over 75 articles for the blogs that we launched. I helped build the financial education platform that we eventually launched for our clients. And then I did so well, I got promoted in 6 months. I became director of business development. Now I'm helping the firm to push itself forward. I'm helping to grow this company. Man, that team was amazing. That team helped me so much. That team deposited a lot into me. Everyone at Nestwise was so critical to my development, down to the tech. I got good at what I did. And part of my job now as business development director, I worked with the advisors. So we would hire CFPs on our platform, and they would be the advisors that will work with our clients. So a client signs up, they would choose their advisor from our pool of advisors. And it was my job now to help the advisors build their business. Thank you, Father. That's what I do today. I help financial educators, coaches, and counselors and consultants to start their own financial coaching practice. Everything in divine order. Showing up, position me. So I started to do that, and we started to get traction. Then I started to host online classes through Maestro conference software. And I would host webinars and build the webinars. And so that's where my online skill set came from. Then I became the liaison with the tech team. So I was the financial planning expert on our team. It was my job to run simulations of the Monte Carlo analysis over and over, right? And make sure our plans were delivering the output we expected. So client A in their profile, put them in the plan, run the plan, and find problems within the plan. I was a problem solver. Then I would take that to the tech team and say, hey, this part is broken or this part didn't work right. Now, I'm not no tech person. I've never been a techie, but this gave me a reason to liaise with our tech people and develop relationships with them. And this was awesome because I don't speak their language, but I'm learning from them and they're helping me and growing me and my skill set. So that was awesome because I really love diving into the plans and kind of see what was working, what wasn't working, why this output wasn't based on the right thing or why we didn't get the result, or finding out what went wrong so that when our clients put their information into the plan, it generated a plan that made sense so that the advisors could present that plan to the client and know what they're talking about. So I grew my skill set exponentially by working at a startup. Fast forward, everything in divine order. So the startup, and here's how I got laid off before. So I would check, I come into the office. Sometimes I was the first one there. Again, it's a startup. I lived in San Francisco now. I moved to the Bay. So this brought me back to California. I moved to the Bay. I lived in the Mission. And then I wound up moving to Oakland. The Mission wasn't for me. It wasn't. The best thing there was a taqueria. I love the tacos there. It was bomb. But I moved to Oakland and I would commute over the bridge I was a commuter. Now that I think about it, I've crossed many bridges. Interesting. Okay, everything in divine order. All right, so I then I would come into the office and I would check the company website because again, LPL was our parent company. So we were owned by LPL. And I started to notice that LPL was having some changes in their executive management, like the board and top leadership in the company. Like, last time that happened, I got laid off. That's what I thought to myself. And then I started my day, right? The next day, like something happened again in the leadership. This person left, and somebody else was coming in. I'm like, wow, they really shaking things up. Something's going on. Something's going on. So then we come into work one day, August 28th, 2013. And we have our meeting like we normally do on that day. I think it was a Friday or something. And Esther says, the company is being defunded. Everybody is laid off. Oh my gosh. Everything in divine order. I saw it coming. I didn't know, but I saw it coming because I recognize this from Merrill days. You can see a layoff coming. And you know what I did? I haven't even put this book out. I wrote a book, a little mini book on how to recognize a layoff or something was the title. I need to put that book out because there were signs and I was able to see the signs right before my eyes. So when they said this in the meeting, a lot of people were devastated because we were a new firm, we're startup. People were moving to the area, like purchasing homes for their family and moving their families here. And now we're defunded. So this was real for a lot of people. For me, this was freedom. This was an opportunity to go back to being an entrepreneur. This was heaven sent. I couldn't cry because I knew for me it meant something different. So that's what I did. I'm about to start my business again. It was always my vision to bring my practice to LA, bring it back home. Here I go. But I'm in the Bay. A week later, September 7th, I found out I was pregnant. So now I'm laid off and I'm pregnant. Oh my gosh. This was not what I thought my life would be. this was not what I imagined. This was not supposed to be happening. Then I shouldn't have been having sex, right? So I was becoming a mom and I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, I must just run my business. So about 3 weeks passed and morning sickness became all day sickness. And I just couldn't beat it. I couldn't do nothing for myself. I'm like, I need help. My best friend, Ariel Walton, Ari would come over. Ashley was such a great friend to me. Went to high school together. We connected in the Bay. We all kicked it. Michael Kopic, and I met Michael Kopic through a Black Ivy Alumni League event. Shout out to Maisha Walker, Black Ivy Alumni League event. And those are my group of friends in the Bay. And so I'm like, y'all, I don't think I could do it. I need help. I need support. And so I called my family and they was like, well, move back home. So my family came up and moved me back to LA. My son's father was here in LA. And so now I'm back in LA. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just start my business. Now I have support. We about to move in together, all of that. And all of that happens. Son's father and I move in together. We start doing a family thing. I'm like getting more and more pregnant. And I've launched a program, a private coaching program. Now, I launched this program after attending Marie Forleo's B School. Shout out to all of my B Schoolers out there. If you ever attended B School, pivotal. Taught me how to sell online, taught me how to build programs, taught me how to take my knowledge, put it into some program online, and then sell it. So pivotal. So I did. And I wind up getting 10 clients while I was pregnant and working with them through my program. And I had some awesome clients and I got some awesome results. My clients got awesome results. So that's how I knew what I was talking about. Now, mind you, I know what I'm talking about. But as entrepreneurs, we doubt ourselves. Do my stuff really work? Am I really making a difference? Are these people really saving money? Are they really reducing debt? Are they learning how to invest? Like, my clients were getting results. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing. But then I was getting more pregnant and I'm like, oh my gosh, pregnancy has a way of draining you, right? You got a whole body, life inside of you, feeding off of you, right? So I'm like, I don't know about this work, but everything in divine order. My program was coming to an end right before I was giving birth to Yair. So now we in 2014. My son was born in May 2nd, 2014. And I was blessed enough to have more than enough money. So I was able to be a stay-at-home full-time mom. My son's father and I had broken up, so we separated. And now I'm a single mom with a village. And I didn't know what that meant. And I struggled. Motherhood has been the challenge of my life. Not being an entrepreneur, being a mother. And I struggle to this day, but I'm so much better at it because I was ambitious and I was career driven. And I'm like, ain't nothing gonna get in my way. This baby got in my way. And that was God's way of telling me, this is what you're supposed to be doing right now. This is what you're supposed to be doing right now. That's why I blessed you the way I did. That's why, you have foundational things that you use to save your money. That's why you have the money to be able to not have to go to work. I was at home for 8 months with Yair. I didn't care about money. I didn't have to worry about money. None of that. What started to happen though was I got overwhelmed and I spent all my money. I spent all my money, all of it. Spent all my money down to, I remember the day my account hit negative. And that was the day the Financial Reset Challenge was born. The Financial Reset Challenge was born on the day my account hit negative. I needed a reset, me, the financial professional. And that's when I learned it don't matter what you know about money, it's behavior. So all this time, I have been teaching about money and how it works, but I wasn't tapping into my own behavior. This was so humiliating. This was so humbling. I felt so ashamed. I'm like, how am I out here helping other people and I'm not helping myself? But it helped me understand what my clients go through. Everything in divine order. And imagine those clients who you work with where you relate so well to them because you've been there and done that, right? And that's when I started to understand that everything I was going through financially was because I needed to understand it so that I could help other people who were going through that. Now, this ain't no diss to those advisors, counselors, and coaches who ain't never been through nothing, but it is a very different client experience when you've been through some things that you can now coach and counsel and advise your client through, not because of your professional training, but because of your human training, because of the things that you've experienced. And that's why I like to remind us that our wealth is in our gifts, it's in our purpose, it's in our life, because everything you go through is meant to be taught, it's meant to be shared, it's meant to help you reach the people you're supposed to reach because of what you've been through. And I don't care how bad it is. I don't care how bad it is. Those bad moments are meant to be shared. So here I was going through a bad moment, rock bottom. I hit financial rock bottom. I hit social rock bottom. I hit personal rock bottom. And I'll never forget my tax return coming around that year. And that's what gave me my lump sum of money to just save, right? It's like, okay, I'm back. So now we in 2016. And again, I created the financial reset challenge for 20 days. And for 20 days, this was in October, I would get up at like 5:30 in the morning because I had to be up before my aunt and my son. Because once people got up, I couldn't record. So I would get up, I would go to my car, I would pull out my phone, I would read my Bible, I would understand what I felt I needed, and that would be the topic that I talked about for that day's challenge. And it was only 30 minutes. So that was the whole idea of the 20-day reset challenge. It was a 20-day financial reset challenge where for 30 minutes every day you would listen to this audio and then do an exercise. So I got with Lanoya, my graphic designer, and she made it all pretty, all the worksheets that I created, and then we created a workbook, and I did it. I now created something out of my rock bottom that I could then share with people. And to this day, every year, I have more people joining the 20-day reset challenge. And I've turned it into an email challenge where every day for 20 days, you get an email about the topic, and then you get the audio, and then you get the worksheet. Or you could buy the bundle and get it all at one time. So that was something, and I use that to this day. I go through the reset challenge myself, not because I'm hitting a rock bottom every year, but because I want to align myself. I want to be sure that I'm focused on my money. I want to be sure that I have the things I need to be successful that year. So I kind of use it as a yearly reset for my finances. And so do other people because they join the challenge. And it doesn't matter if you're hitting rock bottom, if you're starting over, if you're transitioning jobs, if you're ready to start investing, you're trying to buy a house, you want to start your own business, you want whatever you want to do, but you need to get that clarity around your money first. The reset challenge is there to help you get that and then set you up on a foundation to now start getting at your money the proper way. So I did that. And I was like, all right, I need a job. I need a job. I'm tired of being at home with the baby every day. I moved back home. Why did I move back home? I moved back home because I was paying rent at an apartment I never stayed in. That was part of the personal breakdown. Once my son's father and I broke up, I'm now in this apartment by myself trying to raise this baby. I was crying every night because he wouldn't stop crying. So now I'm crying. I didn't know what I was doing yet again. Like, I didn't know what I was doing when I was an entrepreneur. I didn't know what I was doing as a mom. So I was frustrated. I'm an overachiever. You know what I'm saying? I hit my marks, like, and I'm not hitting my marks as a mom. So I got frustrated. My auntie Scylla, shout out to Auntie Scylla, she lived right downstairs. We live in the same apartment building. So I moved in with my auntie. I would spend the night at her house, like, it's 7 days a week. I was there like 5 days a week because I didn't want to be by myself. And then I would come home for like 3 weeks. I would come home and stay at home with my grandparents and be here with the baby because I had support here. And I'm like, and I'm paying rent and I'm never home. That don't make no sense. That was where some of my money was going. So I was like, I gotta go. So I moved back home. And, you know, people have stuff to say when you move back home, right? Especially in the Black community. Moving back home is not looked at as a good thing. So here I am, a Princeton graduate. I had a good job. I moved back. I got laid off. I started a business. I hit financial rock bottom. I break up with my son's father. I got a baby. You would think that I was like low life, scum. You know what I'm saying? Like, not doing nothing with my life. Everything in divine order. I was being positioned. And so I saw a job offer because I always look at what's going on in the marketplace. I like to keep a pulse on opportunities. So I some kind of way started getting job leads from AFSC, AFSC. And that was probably through a Google search where I like searched financial coaching jobs or something like that. And I saw this job opportunity in Las Vegas and I applied and I didn't hear back. Now, was I going to move to Vegas? I don't know. I guess I was, but I didn't hear back. About 2 weeks later, they send you job leads now because I was on their email list. There was a lead for a veteran financial coach in Los Angeles. I saw it and I said, thank you, Father. It's mine. That's my job. I applied. I got an interview. My interview, I killed it. And I got hired 2 weeks later. So now I am financial coaching with veterans in LA County. And that was my job, only to work with veterans in LA County. So that's what I did. And this was perfect for me. It was so entrepreneurial because we had a virtual team. This was a pilot project being supported by the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And so, oh wait, my laptop's gonna die. And so now I'm back in my craft, right? And I'm getting paid. So I'm making a living, I can support myself, and I'm helping people with their money. I'm doing the one-on-one work, I'm teaching, I'm counseling, I'm doing all that. And all over LA County. And I'm offering it for free because I'm getting paid through salary. So my clients didn't have to pay for anything. And so I'm everywhere. I'm at the VA. I'm at every veterans event. And how did I do that? I used Eventbrite. Eventbrite told me where all of the veteran stuff was going down. So I showed up there. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I offer. And everything in divine order. As I teach my students in my training program about how to start your own financial coaching practice, what I noticed was, out of all of the other supportive services being offered to veterans, no one was offering them financial coaching. No one was offering them help with their money. They were getting help with housing, their benefits, a job, everything else, food, clothes, everything else, resume help, no financial help. So I was different in a market full of providers serving the same client. I was different. Differentiate yourself. Specialize. The riches are in the niches. Become niche. Find the market you are meant to serve and be their go-to resource for only the thing you provide through your gift. and you will never be broke a day in your life. Add value to those people, and they will pay you because of the value you add to their life. I have learned that. I am a product of that. I have experienced that, and I am living it through right now. I add value to the people I serve, and my value increases every time I serve. Every time I invest in my training, every time I invest in my professional development, my value increases because I can do more for them on this one specific thing. And that's what I always teach. We've got to stop trying to be everywhere and be everything to everybody. That's not our purpose. You have a purpose in life. God gave you a reason to be here by divine assignment. And your job should be supporting that. And if it is not, you are not in the right job. And your business should be supporting that. And if not, you're not in the right business. Okay. So I started making waves in this veteran landscape here in LA County. And I loved it because I knew I was the only one doing what I was doing. Fast forward, that contract ended in 2019. And I had started my business, Reese Financial Services, the iteration of Community LLC in 2014, which is why I'm celebrating my 7-year anniversary today, according to LinkedIn. So I did that in that rock bottom space. I set the business up while I was in my rock bottom. And then no, that was before my rock bottom. That was before my rock bottom. I'm sorry. That was before my rock bottom because I had my clients in my program and I did that. So now I'm doing it. I'm working with clients all over the county of LA. I'm attending all these things and learning more and networking. And so ultimately okay, so I'm making waves in this veteran community as a financial coach serving veterans. And by the end of that contract, I served over 300 veterans, over 300 in a 2.5-year span. And that was a great accomplishment because, well, I won't say 300 veterans total. It was about 280 veterans. And then towards the end of that contract, I was able to work with whomever I wanted. So I was able to become a coach who worked with anyone, not just veterans. Okay, sorry, my son was being loud. Okay, so I I'm like, all right, I made an impact. I've reached people, and this is one-on-one. I literally worked with over 300 clients in a one-on-one setting. And that's over 300 hours. But some clients, made multiple appointments, and that's how you begin to collect your data. You know what I'm saying? And I tell this to my training students. We make impact in what we do as financial coaches. The rest of the industry may not have caught up yet. They don't know the value we add. They don't understand why we do the work we do, why we're necessary. If it matters, it matters. It matters because who else is out here teaching people about the basics and then holding their hand through the process of getting their finances in order from the basic and bottom levels? That's what we do as coaches, counselors, and educators. But we don't just work with people who don't have money. We don't work with people who are still building. We work with people who have money and millions and all of that because it's a mindset thing and it's education. Nobody does the work we do all day. You know what I'm saying? Like, we add so much value. That's a whole nother. We add a lot of value. And I looked at my data. I looked at how many clients I served, the goals they set, the outcomes they achieved. I had measurable data to support the work I did. That's why I'm like, I can make this a business. Look what I just did. So I did. I got hired part-time after the contract by the organization where I was being housed. So I had a part-time gig, and about 6 to 7 months later, I resigned and I went back to full-time entrepreneurship, which brings me to where I am today. And that end of the year, I did things in my practice that I never done before. I went for a contract with the city of LA. I didn't get it, but I made it to the interview stage. And in the end, the company that was awarded the contract was the company that already had the contract. So it was an incumbent, and I understand that there's some politics there, but it was also because I was a bit more overpriced, they told me. But I was in the running. You know what I'm saying? I was in the running. This was my first time going for a city contract. I know how to do that. I go for those contracts for my business. So being an entrepreneur and coming around to this moment where I can say, oh, LinkedIn is saying I'm celebrating my anniversary. It's been a journey, and my journey continues. You know what I'm saying? My journey continues. I still have milestones to hit. I'm ready to be a six-figure earner in my business, and I'm ready to go back to some wealth management. I'm ready to now make my firm a true full service financial firm. That is the goal. That is my vision, so that I'm able to see a client, meet a client wherever they are, and I can offer them a service so they can graduate with my firm. Where else do you get to graduate with the people you work with in your personal finance? So you can start off as a coaching client, and I'm going to help you build that foundation. My coaches are going to help you build assets, and then we're going to grow those assets. And then when you have enough assets to begin investing on a monthly basis, guess what? I'm going to work with you through the financial advisory arm of my practice. I've helped you graduate in your financial life. My interests are aligned with yours, because when you do that, I make more money. And now I'm going to be able to say, not only did I run a successful coaching practice, I merged my model. And I don't see this in the marketplace. I've seen one. I've recently just seen one website where the brothers are offering financial coaching. Shout out to those brothers. Literally, the brothers are brothers. But they don't do what I do. They don't do it how I do it. And they're not going to reach the people that I reach, which is my ultimate sell to my peers. If you're a financial empowerment professional, meaning a financial educator, a financial coach, a financial counselor, a financial advisor, a financial planner, we empower people and their money. And who's for you is for you. You will not attract everyone. Everyone is not going to want to work with you. And who's for me is for me. And I am going to attract the people I am meant to attract and work with. That's why it's enough room for all of us. That's why you got to show up in your financial coaching practice. That's why you got to show up in whatever business you are trying to start, because no one is like you. You're divinely and uniquely created. And your purpose on earth is aligned with your work, not your job. Your job should be preparing you for your work. It should be refining your gifts, your skill set, your strengths. That's what jobs are meant to do for us. There's nothing wrong with a job. We all have had them. Therefore, they're a part of our journey. But don't sell yourself to your job. Sell yourself to your work. Sell yourself to your purpose, and you will never be broke another day of your life, because our gifts make room for us. And guess what? They bring us before great men and women who will pay for what we bring. I believe that. I am living that. And I am being introduced to great people. People I don't know, but they know me. They've heard of me. Somebody is saying, you need to speak to Dominique Reese. You need to speak to Dr. Dominique. You need to check out Master My Money. Someone is speaking on my name right now. And I hope that you speak on my name and pass it along to somebody who you think could benefit from working with me. I asked for the order. But I'm so grateful that every experience up until now has positioned me to be right here where I am 7 years later, celebrating my anniversary in business. And it's awesome. I'm about 16 years in my industry. My first internship was in 2003. So now 18 years. This has been a journey. This has been, and it's just getting started because again, I'm shifting. I'm about to shift and help people manage their wealth with the assets that I'm helping them build. I'm going back to the financial advisor hat with a specialty. And I'm refining my specialty, which is why I study and do my devotion, because I need to get my mind right for my next level. And this is the stuff that I'm bringing to my practice. I've learned in this environment, this back to basics environment, that I can go back to basics too and teach people the basics around how to find their gift, how to tap into their gift, because their gift is where their money is. So if I want to manage your money, I could be like every other advisor out here, but I'm not. I'm going to help you tap into your purpose, which is where your infinite wealth resides. So if I can help you get to your money and then help you manage your money, I'm living in my purpose. I'm living in my purpose. I'm activating. And that's what I believe I'm here to do. So again, thank you for your attention. I hope this is motivating and educational, that you've learned a lot about me and you see a part of your journey in my story, because a lot of our journeys are similar no matter what industry we're in. When we begin to pursue our purpose and we start to unlearn the things that we've been conditioned to learn, we start to explode. And guess what? I'm exploding and I am so excited about it. And I cannot wait to meet you, for our paths to cross, for us to partner. I mean, I'm reaching out on LinkedIn to people and networking, and I'm figuring out how you make sense in my grand plan. But everything in divine order, not but, and everything in divine order. So thank you. Thank you for spending some time learning about me. And again, I'm asking for the order. Let me support you. Let me help you get your practice going. And if you're individual, join my programs. Come learn how to manage your money, because management is how you master. Master your money through management. And I don't have enough. You do. If you have $1 coming in, you've got enough to manage. Okay, so thank you. Thank you, Father, for this moment. Thank you for those who will be blessed by watching this and hear and see themselves in my story. And until we meet again, Dr. Dominique, peace.